I was flipping burgers at our backyard barbecue when the notification buzzed on my phone. I usually wouldn't check it, especially not in the middle of grilling for her family and our so-called friends, but something about the way her girls were snickering by the pool made the hairs on the back of my neck rise. Then I saw it. LOL, can't believe I wasted my prime on my practice husband clownface nail polish. Posted by Emily Carter, my wife. A few seconds later, the comments rolled in like a floodgate snapping off its hinges. He's giving test run vibes for real. Warm-up round before the main event. El Mame, imagine sticking with that beard for life. Fire, fire, fire. I looked up. She was laughing with her wine glass tilted, sunglasses on like some reality TV diva. She didn't know I saw it. Or maybe she did, and that's what made it worse. I had a gift box in my back pocket. Not a big one, small, black velvet. A custom necklace with her favorite quote on the pendant. I was planning to give it to her after the barbecue, when everyone left, when we'd lie in bed and pretend for 5 minutes that we were still happy, that maybe we still had something to fight for. I didn't argue. I didn't even eat. I took the spatula, placed it neatly next to the tray of sizzling patties, pulled the gift box out of my pocket, and set it silently on the edge of the grill. Then I walked past her. Past her sister. Past her mocking friends who didn't even blink. I walked right out of my own backyard, climbed into my truck, and drove. I didn't say a single word. She didn't follow. No one did. 3 weeks passed. Complete silence. I blocked her on everything. I didn't go home. I moved into a cheap motel across town where the ice machine didn't work and the sheets smelled like bleach and old cigarette smoke. I didn't cry. Not yet. I didn't even feel anger. Just static. Like my mind had been kicked offline. Then came the message. From her sister. She cries every time someone brings up your name. She's begging for you to come back. I stared at the text like it was a joke. I even chuckled. Then I thought about the gift box, the post, the way she had clinked glasses while the whole world laughed at me. Practice husband. That's what I was to her. Not her partner. Not her friend. Just a warm-up act before the real man showed up. And that's when the pain started to set in. Not the loud, screaming kind. The quiet, unbearable type that sits in your lungs and steals the oxygen. The kind that makes you question everything, the late-night drives to get her ice cream, the times you held her while she cried, the fights you tried to fix, the mornings you made her coffee just the way she liked it. Had it all been a test run to her? I started looking back. Not just at the post. At all the little signs. The locked phone she used to leave face down. The sudden weekend conferences she claimed to be attending. The hours she spent in the bathroom, texting with a smirk she didn't even try to hide. And I realized something. That post wasn't a joke. It was a confession. She had already replaced me. And somehow, in her mind, she still believed I'd come back. As if she could just cry a few crocodile tears and I'd crawl back into the same trap she built around me. But I wasn't that guy anymore. I stopped being her practice husband the second I walked away from that grill. And the next time she saw me, I'd be someone entirely different. Because I wasn't just going to move on. I was going to burn it all down first. I didn't answer her sister's message. I let it sit there, unread, just like I had let Emily's betrayal sit in my chest, festering, silent, sharp. But that message opened something I'd been trying to keep shut. I started thinking about who she'd posted for, about who she was really calling in with that practice husband line. No one writes something like that without having someone in mind, some secret audience, someone she's performing for. So I made a mistake. I unblocked her. Just for 10 minutes. Scrolled through her page. Her posts were mostly filtered selfies, vague captions about starting over, choosing peace, and one that nearly made me throw my phone across the room. When you finally stop settling for less, the real you blooms. Less. She called me less. I had just bought us a house. I paid off her car. I worked 12-hour shifts and still came home and asked her how her day was. I planned anniversary trips she canceled last minute. I showed up for her every single damn time. And I was less? But the comments gave me more than just pain. They gave me names. One guy kept popping up. Chase. Chase Matthews. The gym owner she used to train with. The same one she told me was like a big brother and totally not my type. They had a bunch of flirty replies, and it was all out in the open, just subtle enough to give them deniability. But I knew. She didn't just cheat. She broadcasted the warm-up. I needed proof. Not for court, not for revenge, just for me. For sanity. For closure. So I called in a favor. My friend Marcus does security installs. Quiet guy, doesn't ask questions. I told him I needed eyes on my own house, and I needed it fast. He got me into our Ring account, one she thought I was too dumb to ever touch. That's when the rest of it started crumbling. The door logs told me everything. She was coming home late, sometimes 2 a.m., and she wasn't alone. There were 2 separate nights when Chase's voice came through the audio, low, cocky, unbothered. Once, he even joked, "Hope your little practice project isn't still watching from the trees." I felt my stomach twist. I wasn't mad. Not in the usual way. I wasn't yelling or pacing. I just sat down on the edge of the motel bed and stared at the wall until the daylight changed. The worst part was, I had been loyal. Flawlessly loyal. I thought marriage was a contract sealed with more than words. Something sacred. I thought if I gave everything I had, it would be enough. But it wasn't. It was never enough for Emily. And now I understood why. Emily didn't want a husband. She wanted a cheerleader, a wallet, and a mirror to her ego. And when I stopped being that, when I started needing something in return, she called me less. Practice. Expendable. By the time her sister sent a second message, "Please just talk to her. She's not herself," I had already decided. I would talk to her, but not the way they expected. I picked a Saturday. I knew Chase would be there. The Ring app told me his car showed up around 7 p.m. and left after midnight every weekend. I waited till 7:30. Drove back to the house I paid for. Knocked like a guest. When she opened the door, she froze like she'd seen a ghost. Her mascara was perfect. Her robe barely tied. She didn't say anything. So I smiled and stepped in. And just as I expected, Chase was on the couch, holding a beer from my fridge, his shoes on my coffee table, and that smug smirk on his face like he'd just won something. Emily finally found her voice. "Ethan, you can't just come in like this." I closed the door behind me, and I said, "I'm not here to argue. I just came to say one thing." She crossed her arms. "What?" I looked at Chase, then back at her. "You're gonna wish I stayed your practice husband. Because what comes next? That's the real test." She laughed. Actually laughed. But Chase, he didn't. Because when I pulled out the tiny USB stick from my pocket and tossed it onto the table, I saw it in his eyes. He knew. I had everything. The cameras. The recordings. The audio of their moans. Her calling him daddy in my house. She opened her mouth, but I cut her off. "You two have until tomorrow to pack and leave. The lawyer will handle the rest." "Oh, and Emily? That necklace? The one you never got?" I pulled it from my jacket, crushed it under my boot, and walked out. Next part? Let me know. I didn't sleep that night. Not out of regret, God no, but because everything that had been bottled up for months was finally spilling over, and my brain was on fire. Not just with rage, but with questions. When did she start lying to me? Why did I ignore the signs? Was I so desperate to be loved that I let her treat me like a prop? At 3:17 a.m., I found myself standing in front of a gas station, gripping a Red Bull in one hand and a crumpled receipt in the other. I looked like a man who'd lost a bet with the universe, and maybe I had. But I didn't feel broken anymore. I felt sharp. Focused. The plan was simple. I wouldn't just leave her. I'd make sure she was the one who lost something. Something real. The next morning, I met with my lawyer, Jenna. She'd been handling divorce cases for 15 years and had the face of someone who's seen it all, but even she raised her eyebrows when I showed her the footage. "Oh, well. She really thought she was untouchable, huh? She still does." "Well," Jenna said, folding her hands. "Let's remind her she's not." It moved fast after that. Faster than I expected. I had receipts, surveillance, financial records, and even a screenshot of her message to her best friend that read, "If Ethan ever finds out, I'll just cry and say he was abusive. He's too passive to fight back." She'd been planting seeds to bury me, long before I ever caught her. I filed for divorce with cause. In our state, adultery's still a knife that cuts deep in court, especially when there's video. Especially when the house, the cars, the accounts, everything was in my name. But before the papers could even reach her hands, she beat me to the drama. I woke up to 50 missed calls. My phone practically screamed. Her sister, her friends, even her mother. "Ethan, what the hell happened?" "Emily's freaking out. She said you threatened her. She's saying you stormed in drunk and tried to fight Chase." I laughed. A genuine, bitter laugh. Of course she flipped it. Of course she ran straight to the victim playbook. But this time, I had armor. I sent one video. Just one. A clear clip of her and Chase on my couch, her straddling him, moaning his name. No words. No explanation. Just the file. By noon, silence. The phone stopped ringing. Her mother deleted her concerned Facebook post. Her sister texted, "I'm sorry. I didn't know. I really didn't know." Yeah, neither did I. Until I did. That night, Emily showed up at my motel, wearing the same hoodie of mine she always stole to sleep in. Hair in a bun. Mascara running. Barefoot. She looked nothing like the smug queen bee at the barbecue. More like a drowned rat. She didn't knock. She banged. "Open the door. Ethan. Please. I need to talk to you." I opened it. Slowly. Let her see my face, calm, unreadable. She stumbled in without asking, crying already. "I messed up, okay? I was scared. We were falling apart. I didn't think you cared anymore. Chase, he didn't mean anything. It was just attention, and I didn't flinch." Was I abusive, Emily? Her tears paused. That hit her like a brick. What? No. Why would you even? You said it to Megan. That you'd cry and call me abusive if I ever found out. Was that part of the plan? She stared at me, mouth slightly open, like her whole act short-circuited. You read that? I read everything. I walked past her, grabbed my duffel. I'm not staying here. You can finish your performance somewhere else. She grabbed my arm. Wait, Ethan, please. I didn't mean any of it. I was just scared of losing control. I was scared you'd leave me, that you'd finally see I wasn't enough. Her voice cracked. She started sobbing, dropping to her knees. And I'll admit, for one moment, my chest clenched. Not because I wanted her back, but because I remembered the girl I married, the woman I once believed in. But she wasn't there anymore. She'd been replaced. I looked down at her, gripping my leg like she thought tears were currency. And I said the coldest thing I've ever said in my life. You're not crying because you lost me, Emily. You're crying because you lost your safety net. And you know what? Good. Maybe it's time you feel the fall. Then I left. I didn't look back. She didn't follow. She never does when no one's watching. The next few days were quiet, almost eerily so. No texts. No calls. Not even another attempt to ambush me at the motel. It felt like the storm had finally passed. Until I got the email. Subject line. Urgent, Ethan Carter legal inquiry. Sender, Chase Matthews. I nearly laughed. The ball's on this guy. I opened it out of morbid curiosity. Inside was a PDF. A lawyer's letterhead. Chase was attempting to claim emotional distress. Said I violated privacy by placing hidden cameras in a shared residence without consent. That the footage I had illegally recorded had been distributed in a way that damaged his business and reputation. I slammed the laptop shut so hard it nearly bounced off the desk. So that was their move now? Frame me as the villain? I didn't panic. I printed the letter, took it straight to Jenna, and watched her eyes narrow as she read. They don't have a leg to stand on, she said. You were the homeowner. You paid for everything. The footage was within your legal right. But, she hesitated. But, if they're desperate and Chase wants to drag this out, he could try to hurt you through public pressure. Social media. Reputation games. Especially if they try to twist this into something toxic masculinity adjacent. You know how it goes. I nodded. I did. I left her office, went straight to a diner nearby, and sat there for 3 hours nursing a black coffee, thinking about how far this had all spiraled. This wasn't just about betrayal anymore. It wasn't even about Emily and Chase. It was about pride, reputation, identity. They weren't just trying to win a breakup. They were trying to erase me. That's when the idea hit. Not revenge. Just exposure. Truth in its rawest form. I logged back into our old shared cloud storage. She'd never changed the password. Found everything: pictures, texts, even a voice memo she once drunkenly recorded laughing with her friends. Honestly, if Ethan ever found out about me and Chase, he'd probably still apologize. That man's got no backbone. That voice memo became the centerpiece. I compiled it all. Timestamps. Photos. Screenshots. Her post. The Ring video. The voice memo. The gym check-ins that lined up with her business trips. Then I did something I never thought I'd do. I posted it all, anonymously, on a private subreddit under a throwaway, titled, "My wife called me her practice husband while sleeping with her trainer." Here's the full story. Within 24 hours, it blew up. Thousands of upvotes. Hundreds of comments. Did you handle that like a king? She thought she was the main character until the credits rolled. That's not a wife. That's a walking red flag wrapped in yoga pants. I didn't name names. I didn't need to. Anyone who knew us would put the pieces together. And it didn't take long. By the next week, Chase's gym's Yelp page was filled with reviews like, "Beware of the owner, he specializes in home-wrecking cardio. Signed up for squats, got drama instead." And Emily? She went dark. Deleted Facebook. Vanished from Instagram. Her echo chamber collapsed. That's when the final blow came in. Jenna called me one afternoon and said she wants to settle. No court. No fight. She's walking away from the house, the car, everything. She just wants out. I didn't smile. I didn't cheer. I just exhaled. Because that's what closure felt like. Not victory. Not revenge. Just the quiet realization that someone who once promised forever had destroyed their own castle, and all I had to do was walk away from the ruins. I signed the papers the next morning. Didn't leave a note. Didn't say goodbye. Just like she didn't when she sat by the pool, laughing while her friends called me a test run. Funny how fast the test becomes the final exam. And she failed. Spectacularly. I thought that after signing the papers, there'd be this huge release, like I'd feel light again, like I could finally breathe without her name sitting in my lungs. But the truth? It wasn't peace. Not right away. It was emptiness. Like I'd been walking through fire for so long that I forgot what it felt like not to be burning. I stayed in the motel for a few more nights, not because I had to, but because I couldn't stand going back to that house yet. Even if she was gone, even if Chase was too, every room would still reek of what they did. But then I got the call. It wasn't from Jenna. Not her sister. Not even her. It was from my boss. "Ethan, this might be awkward, but someone's been trying to contact HR about you." My stomach dropped. "She's saying you were mentally unstable, that you were harassing her and threatening people." I didn't believe it, obviously, but the company's obligated to look into it. I thanked him for the heads up and hung up before I said something I'd regret. So this was it now. Smear campaigns. Reputation warfare. She didn't just want to leave, she wanted to salt the earth. That's when I realized she never loved me. Maybe she loved what I gave her. The safety, the stability, the image. But not me. Because if you ever really loved someone, even a little, you don't try to ruin them when it ends. You don't lie to their employer. You don't try to erase their life. So I went home, walked through the door of the house I built, smelled the faint trace of her perfume, and for the first time in weeks, I didn't feel anger. I felt done. The place was mostly empty. She took some clothes, a few pieces of jewelry, and, oddly, the toaster. Left behind a broken picture frame with our wedding photo shattered inside. How poetic. I walked straight to the kitchen, grabbed a trash bag, and started tossing. Wedding photo. Gone. Her favorite wine glasses. Gone. That stupid, live, laugh, love sign she forced me to hang in the hallway? Gone. It wasn't rage. It was purging. Like removing a tumor. A few days later, I got an email from HR. After reviewing the claims and provided evidence, we found no grounds for further investigation. Case closed. I sat at my desk and just stared at that sentence. She tried to burn everything I had left. And failed. Again. A week passed. Then another. Until one morning, I got a knock on the door. I thought it might be her. I was ready for that. I had a speech rehearsed, firm and cold. But it wasn't her. It was Chase. Standing there like he just walked out of a hurricane, messy hair, sunken eyes, hoodie stained at the collar. "What the hell do you want?" I said. He rubbed the back of his neck like a kid caught stealing candy. "Look, man. I know I'm probably the last guy you want to see, but I need to tell you something. You need to leave." He didn't move. "I ended it with her," he said. "I didn't know she'd go that far. I didn't know about the HR thing until after it blew up in her face. She told me she was just trying to make you pay attention. I didn't sign up for that. I didn't say a word. She told me, after the barbecue, she was planning to ask you for an open marriage. Said you were emotionally boring. Said you wouldn't mind." I stepped forward, real close. "Do I look like I don't mind?" He looked away, swallowed hard. "I just thought you should know. She's not who I thought she was either." And for a moment, I almost pitied him. Almost. But then I remembered everything. The laughing. The couch. The smirks. "You broke into a burning house, and now you're shocked it's on fire?" He nodded, finally backing away. "I deserve that." "Yeah," I said. "You did." And I shut the door in his face. That night, I poured myself a drink. Just one. Sat on the back porch, feet kicked up on the railing, looking out over the yard where I used to grill while she smiled for Facebook. Practice husband. Test run. Funny thing is, I think she was the one on trial all along. and she failed every question. The next month was quiet in a way that didn't feel real. Like someone hit mute on a world that had been screaming at me for too long. There were no more emails. No more surprise visits. Chase disappeared completely. Emily stayed silent. I didn't ask why. I didn't care. I spent most mornings rebuilding what was left of my life. I took a week off work and started clearing the house room by room. Got rid of every piece of furniture she picked out. Repainted the bedroom. Threw out the memory foam mattress she swore we had to have and slept on an air mattress for a while, just because it was mine. I even found the box with the necklace I never gave her. Still intact. I'd crushed the one at the barbecue, yeah, but there was a second one I'd ordered by mistake, and it arrived late. It had her favorite quote engraved on the back. "You are enough." The irony stung so bad I actually laughed. I took it outside, dropped it in the fire pit, and watched it melt down into a silvery puddle. Poetic justice. Quiet. Personal. And then one night, just when I thought the story was finally over, I got one more message. Blocked number. One sentence. "You'll always be the one I ruined everything for." No name. But I knew. She couldn't help herself. Even in her defeat, she had to twist the knife one more time. Make herself the sinner. The victim. I didn't reply. Because by that point, I wasn't angry anymore. I wasn't sad. I was just clear. She thought I'd crumble. That I'd spiral. That I'd spend years licking wounds and wondering what I could have done differently. But what she never understood was that men like me, men who build things, we know how to rebuild ourselves too. She mistook silence for weakness. Loyalty for stupidity. What she didn't realize was that when I left that barbecue without a word, I wasn't running. I was choosing peace over performance. And peace? That's the one thing she'll never get back. Because now, when people say her name, they don't think beautiful, charming, or witty. They think. She cheated on her husband and bragged about it on Facebook. And me? I got promoted. Bought a new car. I started training again, actually joined a better gym. One with no sleazy trainers and no shared showers. I met someone a few months later. Her name's Rachel. She doesn't post cryptic quotes. She doesn't play games. She asks how my day was and actually listens. And one night, over drinks, she said something that stopped me cold. "I can tell you've been hurt by someone who never appreciated what you gave." I didn't say much. Just smiled and nodded. Because she was right. And that's the truth. I gave someone everything, and she turned it into a joke. Called me her practice husband while I was grilling for her family, holding a ring in my pocket. But that was the beginning of her downfall. Not mine. So if you're reading this, and you think your world is ending because someone tore it apart, let me tell you something they don't put in the inspirational quotes. Sometimes, getting burned is what you need to finally see who belongs in the fire, and who was just smoke all along. And if she ever reads this, and she'll know it's her, let me leave her with one final message. You didn't break me. You just taught me exactly what never to settle for again. The seasons started to shift. Summer faded into a slow burning fall, and I watched the leaves change from my porch, the same porch where Emily once took selfies during golden hour, tagging me with cutesy captions like "husband goals," while she was already texting other men. I should have seen it back then. But that's the trick about people like her. They don't cheat with their bodies first. They cheat with their attention, their laughter, their eye contact. And by the time you notice, they've already rewritten the story in their heads where you're the villain and they're the hero for walking away. Rachel didn't ask for details. She could sense the damage without needing to read the full report. That's what made her different. She didn't try to fix me. She just stayed. Solid. Present. One night, as we sat watching some dumb horror movie, she leaned against me and said, "You know, you look better lately. Not just physically, your eyes, your face. It's like something left you." It had. Her. I'd carried Emily's betrayal like a ghost in my ribs for months. Every room echoed with things she never said but implied with her smirks, her lies, her indifference. But now, those echoes were dying. I finally started sleeping through the night again. No dreams. No jolting awake with phantom arguments in my head. Still, I won't lie, some days it crept back in. A scent. A song. That damn commercial for the mattress we bought together. But I let it pass. Like a breeze through an open window. I stopped chasing closure because I realized closure isn't a conversation. It's a choice. You decide the chapter ends. You stop rereading. One afternoon, I got a letter. Handwritten. Sloppy. Unfamiliar return address. I opened it. Recognized the handwriting halfway through the first line. "Ethan, I know I'm the last person you want to hear from, but please just read this. I don't want anything. Not money. Not another chance. I just want you to know that I messed everything up. I hurt you because I was hurting. Because I was stupid and selfish. You gave me the kind of love I thought I deserved, and I didn't realize until too late that it was better than anything I ever earned. She went on. Pages of it. Excuses. Regret. Self-pity masquerading as confession. I didn't finish it. I folded it back up, walked to the fire pit, and dropped it in. Watched the paper curl and blacken. It wasn't hate. It wasn't revenge. It was mercy on myself. Letting it go. Because that letter wasn't for me. It was for her. To ease her guilt. To cast herself in a softer light in my memory. But I don't owe her that. I don't owe her anything. The last thing I kept of hers was a hoodie she used to wear. One of mine she claimed and made her own. I found it buried in a drawer under some old winter gloves. I held it for a second. Thought about the night she wore it while curled up on the couch, legs on my lap, pretending to be the woman I married. Then I stuffed it in a garbage bag and drove it to the donation bin behind the gas station. I left it there, zipped up tight with a few other things I didn't want to look at anymore. Because healing isn't always this giant, cinematic moment. Sometimes it's quiet, unremarkable. It's dropping off a hoodie and realizing it doesn't hurt to let it go. And that's where peace begins. Not with revenge, not with closure, but with the moment you realize someone's absence feels better than their presence ever did. That was my freedom. That was my ending. And it was damn beautiful. A few months later, I stood in front of the mirror, buttoning up a crisp white shirt. Same body, different man. I'd grown leaner, stronger. Not just physically, mentally, emotionally. Like I'd been reforged in fire and came out sharper. Rachel came up behind me, wrapped her arms around my waist, and rested her head between my shoulder blades. "You ready?" she asked. "Yeah," I said. "I think I finally am." We were going to a small get-together, nothing flashy. Just a few friends, some music, good food. The kind of night I used to fake a smile through. Now I didn't have to. As we drove, I passed a street I hadn't taken since everything fell apart. It was instinct to look away, to tighten my grip on the wheel, but I didn't. I looked, head on, straight into the rear view of my life. That's when I realized something. It wasn't Emily's betrayal that broke me. It was the slow erosion of who I was. Every day I stayed silent. Every time I told myself to be patient while she drifted. Every lie I accepted as a compromise. Every smirk I let go unchallenged because I didn't want to rock the boat. I wasn't just betrayed. I was trained to betray myself. And now I'd unlearned that. One boundary at a time. So if there's one thing I'd tell anyone who finds themselves standing at a grill while their partner posts insults about them to the world, it's this. Don't waste your voice trying to convince someone to see your worth. Just leave. Don't burn yourself trying to keep someone else warm. Don't wait for apologies soaked in excuses. And if they ever come crawling back, sobbing, saying they missed the version of you they broke, let them cry. Let them sit in the silence they created. You don't owe them closure. You owe yourself peace. Because love isn't supposed to feel like waiting for someone to stop hurting you. It's supposed to feel like coming home. And finally, I had. Not to a person. To myself.